Hello, everyone. How are you going? Just realised the music was still playing. Okay, so today I wanted to go through what is kinesiology, what is it good for, how does it fix you, how does it help you, and giving you some examples today. So I'm going to try and make it a quicker video because I tend to go a bit over time. So let me know where you're watching from. I'd love some questions and some comments, and we can address those as we go through. Hopefully I'm up the right way, not sideways, because Facebook doesn't like it when I turn my phone. So if you can let me know, that'd be great. Okay, so what is kinesiology? All right, it is the most amazing modality on the planet. The end. No. So I became a kinesiologist in 2005. I started studying, and it was life-changing. And the reason why I went was because the relationship that I was in at the time turned violent. And hi from Karen, hi Joel, hi Penny. So the relationship I was in at the time turned violent and abusive, and I went into severe stress and trauma. Now, back in those days, back when this was happening, no one spoke about trauma like they do now. Stress wasn't even a thing, and depression, anxiety, all of that stuff was hardly ever spoken about. I just lost connection. There we go. Okay, so long story short, my friend, I went and lived with my parents. I left that person, but ended up being with that person and marrying that person after that. So that was great. Anyway, I went and lived with my parents, and my friend contacted me and said, go and see this lady. She specializes in stress. I couldn't get a grip on what was happening in my body. I couldn't get a grip what was happening in my mind. It was just too much happening, an overload. When someone that you love and spending time with and dating turns on you, it's horrendous. Anyway, I won't go into that too much, but I went and saw a kinesiologist in Eltham. I lived in Frankston. I drove all the way up there. It was like an hour and a half or something. And I remember driving away from that appointment thinking and saying out aloud in my car, I'm going to be okay. I had no idea what the lady was doing. I couldn't understand how intuitive she was, in that she knew which essences and which oils, and she was grabbing onto my hand and she was doing all this, and I thought she was like doing things with her fingers. I had no idea. She said to me in that first session, I think, have you ever considered studying kinesiology, because I feel like you'd be really good at this? And it's something that came about because she was taking me through a visualization, and she was saying, now what color can you see? What color can you see? That's the first time I'd done anything like that. And I really resonated with it. Anyway, I didn't even know what it was. She tried to get me to study with her eventually. It was like 11 grand or something. And I just didn't do it. Fast forward a few years, when their husband had a nervous breakdown, mental breakdown, and I got him to see a kinesiologist, and I ended up studying with her because she did it, weekend by weekend, unit by unit, and it was just a lot more easier for me to do. I was doing it while I was pregnant. I still remember being like 6 weeks to go, and I was studying kinesiology. So it was a really amazing time in my life, even though I was around the wrong people and doing the wrong things with the wrong people. It changed my life, and it saved me. It saved my life, because I started to get balances, and even though I stayed with him through abuse and violence, I was able to deal with it and release that stuff, which I don't know was a good thing. But if I hadn't have done this stuff, I would have stayed with him forever. He's the reason why I became a kinesiologist. So I have that gift, which is amazing. And yeah, I just wanted to talk to you today about what kinesiology is. It's based on muscle testing, and it's an alternative therapy. It works like a bioresonance system. So if anyone's got a Healy or an AO scan and you know what bioresonance is, it's a biofeedback system. So if I was a device, I'd send frequencies at you, reads your resonance field and energy fields around the organs, the glands, the chakras, the meridians, body parts, bones, all of that. And I do have a machine that does that, the AO scan, and then it feeds back to you what it is that's going on. Kinesiology is exactly the same. I'm not a machine, so we have to use muscle testing as a manual way to identify the weaknesses and the blockages in the body, and that's what kinesiology is, right? It's a method to clear and balance stuff that is stuck in the body. This is why somatic therapy, which somatic means mind body, is so important, because we store emotions in the body, right? We store emotions in the organs. It's all kind of based on Chinese medicine. I've done a lot of meridian and Chinese medicine work as well, and that's where I love that. That's my fascination, is sitting in that kind of field, in that area of kinesiology. So basically how it helps is, for example, Joel had a balance a couple of days ago, and he had a really sore left knee, and he was having trouble getting down the stairs. I'm like, what's going on? He loves to suffer in silence. So I'm like, what's happening? When did this start? Like, what is even happening? And he couldn't, he was struggling to clean up and do all of that. So I was like, quick, let me fix it so you can clean up. Anyway, and then I'm like, was that the same knee that was sore like last week? And he's like, no. So he's having problems with his knees, right? Now he's not playing sport. He's not working. He's on work cover and stuff. So, he hasn't physically injured his body, is what I'm trying to say. So I was like, all right, let's have a look at what's going on. Now, for ages, he's been doing, sorry, my light's flashing there. He's been doing a lot of burping, right? He burps a lot. He's like a monster, just roars around the house, right? And for ages, I've been saying to him, your stomach meridian isn't great, right? And that's one of the symptoms of stomach meridian. Stomach meridian is about not being able to stomach life. It's feeling agitated. Agitation sits in the stomach. Criticism sits in the stomach. That's the biggest one that I see. So anything from childhood affects the stomach meridian and the stomach organ as well, because that's where the criticism sits and people carry it around with them, right? So he had some other, he was burping, he had knee pain, his eyes were all kind of allergy and weird, puffy, his jaw, vomiting after food was another one, and loss of appetite. There was about 30 different symptoms. I have a book here and we go through all the symptoms, and he had about 30 of them. There was only like 3 or 4 that he didn't have. And so then we start to look at the emotional blockages, the imbalances in the body, what's happening now, how does the body want to feel. He had a couple of acupressure points on the stomach meridian, which was just, around his rib cage that we had to push in, and I just use my little pen here, which is amazing, pushing in those points, acupressure points, to help the meridian. A meridian is a line of energy that runs from normally the feet or the top of the head or the top tips of the hands through the organ and then around the other side of the body. So it affects all things on that meridian line as well. So it's really, really important that we sorted this out. Now, I did an Egyptian modality thing on him as well. So we balanced 2 of his pyramid centers were, I won't go into that now, but they were not working and destabilized. So we stabilized the knees, and I think it was the throat, and I tuned into what was going on with that. Then we used the muscle testing and the kinesiology. We did a stomach meridian balance. We also did a pain balance. Now, I also then rubbed some essential oils in that are good for inflammation, and Bob's your uncle. The knee pain is gone. It's come back a little bit today, but this is where he's been having some bad dreams. And so it's interesting watching another person in the house when you're not caught up in your own stuff, of how our emotions actually affect. So when he's stressed, he gets pain. When he's emotional or has dreams, then the pain starts to get worse, and his injuries and stuff. So it's really interesting to watch. So doing the kinesiology balances cleared the pain, cleared the emotions, right? Cleared the stomach stuff as well. It's pretty amazing what you can do in like 1 hour, right? And so his knee pain disappeared. I haven't heard him burping as much. And other stuff is starting to surface, which is really cool. And we're going to do another balance. So that's really good. I remember years ago though, when I first started out and I was working from my lounge room, so just in the nook of the corner of the lounge room, I was working in corporate still and seeing clients occasionally. And I had this lady come in and she was referred by someone else. She came in and she said to me, I don't believe in any of this. none of it makes sense. I know it's all woo-woo, but someone recommended I come, and it was one of my regular clients, and I'm like, okay. So I sat at the table with her and we worked out, there was like, I think it was like 6 or 8 pages of notes of all the things that were wrong in her life. It went from relationships to pain, to allergies, to, relationship, everything, you name it. And it was, a certain person was pissing her off, and her kids, and money, and house. And there was like pages of notes and bullet points of all these things. Because I just started out, and because she was very insistent that it doesn't work and that she doesn't believe in it, and she kept talking about that, and my confidence took a massive hit. And I still remember, I can see it now in the house I was in, standing there trying to sort this lady out and not having any confidence. And so I was overachieving. I was trying to prove myself. And so the session went a really long time, and I was like trying to get to all the staff and like blah, blah, blah. Anyway, as she walked out the door, I was like, I never want to do that ever again. I never, ever want to see clients ever again. I never want to see anyone that doesn't believe in this. I can't do this, right? And then went on with my life, and that really, really stuck with me. A couple of months later, I get a call from this lady. She wants to come in again. And I was like, what? Why would you come in again when like you don't believe in it, it doesn't do anything? And like, I just assumed that everything I was doing wasn't going to work. Anyway, it was in that moment when she walked in the door that as a practitioner, you have your certain ways you do things and whatever. And any notes that I'd taken on previous occasions, I had never referred to, and just started anew and like, what's going on now and whatever. In this moment, I decided to grab her file out because it was such a big one. And I sat down with her and said, all right, tell me about this. What's happening with this? And she was like, that's gone. I'm like, okay, and what's happening with this? Yeah, that's sorted. What's happening with this? And every single thing on that list, and we're talking 6 to 8 pages of stuff, bullet points of like what's going on, had cleared, balanced, gone away, disappeared, improved. I was like, oh my God. And so then that's when I fully believed myself in kinesiology. I'd seen the effects on me and the people around me. But the thing is, when clients come in to see you and you're starting out, unless you follow up with them, and unless they come back shortly after you've had that first session, they don't remember what's happened to them. They don't remember what they were complaining about in the first place. They don't remember what shifts have happened. I had a guy come in and see me again years ago, different house, so I was a bit more confident, but and he was a friend, and he said, I've had this pain in my hand from back in the day when I was in the army and we had to dig trenches all the time. And he was a tradie and a carpenter, and so every day he had this pain, like, in here, in his hand. Anyway, again, I was really nervous about seeing people. I didn't have confidence, and I was worried, and overextending and doing too much in the sessions and going too over time and just trying to prove myself that, it did work and I was helping them, and, my intentions were really good. Anyway, he came back the second time. And I'm like, so how have you been? And the usual thing that clients say since their last session, they're like, oh yeah, I didn't really notice any difference. And I'm like, okay, learning from my previous experience, I'm like, tell me about your hand. What's happening with the pain in your hand? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you had pain every day since you were like, 17 or something. What's happening? And he's like, oh my God, it's gone. And I was like, ooh, right? So people say to me, I don't have any back pain. And then you watch them try and get on the table and they can't move because of their back pain, right? So it's really important as a practitioner, when you're starting out, to have a mentor, to have someone there that knows how this goes, that's been through it already. We have amazing outcomes from kinesiology and energy healing and balancing and meridians. And, we do sound therapy here, and there's a lot happening. Anyway, so I've got to wrap it up because otherwise we won't be able to post this on Instagram because it's too long. So we have 2 days left to enter the competition to win a full scholarship valued at $1,111. That's how much you normally pay. That's not a big, sales pitch. That's how much the tickets are. If the early bird special finished yesterday, I will extend it one more day because we've got one more person trying to book in and get their finances sorted. So if you want the early bird special still, contact me today and I will give it to you. It's 25% off. But we do have a competition in 2 days. If you win that, it's a full scholarship. It's amazing. You get 2 days worth of training, all of the bells and whistles. You get everything that everyone else in the room that's paying for it gets. The draw will be at 2 p.m. on Thursday. It'll be live, but you can watch the recording. It'll be sitting on my Facebook page. I will contact the winner straight away. I do ask that anyone that enters the competition, please be living in Melbourne or be willing to travel interstate. We had last time we did a competition, we had someone interstate, then we had someone from Africa. I had to keep redrawing the prize. Okay, so get into the draw. All you have to do is go onto the pin post on my page and the instructions are there. You just have to tag 5 friends and share the post, right? So it's worth entering. I will say this because we don't have many people that have entered the competition. So the chances of you winning are really high, right? If you've got any questions about that, I'll post the link in the comments to the actual event so you can see what's included. It's really important that you understand how life-changing kinesiology is, either as a practitioner to learn it, to add it to your toolkit, or as a client. It's incredible. It's almost miraculous how it works. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching. And I'm going to do another live maybe later, maybe tomorrow, not sure. I'm going to have some lunch first, and I'm going to talk about how kinesiology can change your healing business if you're already a practitioner and you're working with energy. So see you all later, and I'll talk to you soon.